Hey, man up, Charlotte. I'm Bryce Johnson, host of the Unpacking It podcast and a member of the Man Up leadership team. And I'm with you today for this special interview with NFL cornerback Coty Sensabaugh. This bonus video is a little different than some of the other ones that we've got available through the bonus video library. And so today, Coty and I, we're going to have more of a conversation. It's going to be about faith and fatherhood and the fatherless, and we'll talk some football as well. And hopefully you've enjoyed all of the Man Up videos so far, and you'll continue to watch all the videos we've made available through your registration, and really hope, too, that you'll continue to connect with the Man Up community as we continue to have these conversations, but more importantly, as we take action to impact the city of Charlotte, and we do that together. So we're excited to welcome on Coty Sensabaugh. He's a husband. He's a father of two. He's played 8 years in the NFL after being drafted by the Titans. He spent time with the Steelers, the Rams, the Giants, Broncos, and Redskins. He grew up in Tennessee, but he now lives in Charlotte. And he also played his college football at Clemson. And I'm wearing my Clemson shirt today. But Coty, thanks so much for being a part of Man Up. How are you?
I'm doing well, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're psyched to have you. And I guess first up, as I kind of read your bio and realize, all right, you've never played with the Panthers, but here you and your wife have decided to make Charlotte your home. So why is that? How'd you decide to do that?
We basically made Charlotte our home because my wife is from Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm from Kingsport, Tennessee. So we spent our first 4 years in the NFL in Nashville, and that was a nice city, but it was kind of further from both families. So once we had our oldest child, our son, we wanted to be closer to family, and but we also wanted to be in a big city that had like an airport where we could get everywhere we needed to with a direct flight. So Charlotte just made sense, and we purchased our second home here. We had a vacation rental before this, but we purchased like our first real home that we lived in, and we loved it, and we've been here ever since. But it was mainly to be closer to family, and it's kind of an in between point for both families.
Oh, that's awesome. And so we're going to talk about your involvement in the city and not only making it your hometown, but wanting it to be a place that you and your family are serving and engaging in, which is awesome. But I want to talk just a little NFL first, and specifically as we're talking to the men of Charlotte today. One of the topics which is always great to speak to men about is leadership. And to me, when I think of leadership in the NFL, I think of coaches and key players in the locker room. And so throughout your journey in the NFL, you've played for multiple teams, multiple coaches, have been around a lot of great players. What
hmm
has your experience in the NFL taught you about leadership, and what would you say makes a great leader?
The NFL has taught me involving leadership that you have to one listen to others.
Mm.
You have to believe in what you believe in, but you have to be able to work with others, and that a lot of that involves listening. And you have to say what you mean and mean what you say, and you have to walk the walk. Like you can't just talk a good game. Like your actions have to align with what you're saying because people can see through when you're being phony or you're being fake. So it's all about the action involved in it. And I've got a chance to be around a lot of great leaders, whether it be coaches, GMs, players, people in the cafeteria, like, all types of great leaders. So I don't think leadership can be, pinpointed to just one position or one, whether you're a superstar or you're a practice squad player. Leadership comes in different forms. So I've got to experience a lot of great leadership throughout my time so far in the NFL.
And how has even kind of watching other leaders affected your own leadership as a player and even in other areas of life too?
You see certain guys do things a certain way, and you see the results they get, and then you like, man, I like what that looks like, And sometimes the results don't always follow, but as long as you're a man of integrity and you stand 10 toes down and you represent something, people will follow you as long as you're doing the right things.
I've never heard that. 10 toes down. I like that. I
Yeah, you
guess
can
that
use
means
it for
staying
sure.
grounded.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
I
sir.
like that. Very cool. Well, another kind of aspect of leadership too is your father growing up, and so let's talk fatherhood today, as that's a big part of Man Up as well. How did your dad impact your life, and maybe continues to do?
Oh man, my dad impacted my life in a huge way. If it wasn't for him, I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at today. He basically he taught me everything I knew about sports, whether it be basketball, baseball, football, whatever it is. And he was basically that rock that I knew if I went out and did things with my friends, like I had to come home at some point and answer to somebody. And it was discipline and it was structure. And it was somewhat of a fear of not letting him down. My mother, of course, too, but my father more so because he was the strict one. But he was also the fun one. You know what I'm saying? If that makes
Hmm.
sense. And a lot of my friends that I grew up with that had just as much talent as me, they didn't have the structure and the firm force at home that I had. So that's what kind of kept me in line and kept me on the straight path. And without him, no telling where I would have ended up.
Wow. So yeah, what did you learn about that discipline and the proper fear along with love and fun and kind of how those go hand in hand?
It's everything, man. Like a father is needed in the home, especially in the black home. You know,
Mm.
when the father's gone, a lot of chaos ensues. Like there can be chaos with the father there, but it's more chaos when the father's not there. And you know, kudos to the mothers that are raising young men without a father in the home. That's a even tougher job that I couldn't even imagine. You know, but the father figure is huge, man. It's huge.
Well, so now you've stepped into that role yourself. You've got two young kids from what I understand. And so
Yes, sir.
how has becoming a dad changed your life and changed your perspective even?
It's changed my life because you have to watch everything you say and do. Like I always had to do that as an athlete, being whether I was on being a high school star, being a college star, being in the NFL currently. I always had to like kind of be politically correct and watch my actions, but with your kids more so because your kids are like looking at a mirror of yourself. They're going to do what they see, they're going to say what they hear. So you have to really be aware at all times around them because they watch and they see everything. And my kids are only my son is about our son is about to turn 3 and our daughter's only 1, but they are very smart and they're smarter than you give them credit for at that young of an age, if that makes sense. So you have to really be aware of the actions you're putting out and the words you're putting out because they catch on to everything, man. And it doesn't come from nowhere. Like it comes from who they're around the most and they're around us the most. So it's just more of a responsibility and just forces you to be on your game more.
No question about it. Well,
You don't get a day off as a parent. You know what I'm saying?
no, and I'm a new dad myself.
Congratulations. So
My
you
daughter,
know exactly what I'm talking about.
yeah, and I was explaining to a friend who's about to have a baby here soon, and you just can't believe how your free time it's gone. I mean, like you said, you're always on. I mean, you can't turn it off. You can't. There's no down days. That's for
Right.
sure. So
And
it's
even when they're with a babysitter, like you still worry about them and you're
oh
still
yeah,
thinking about them. So like once that child comes into this world, it's a never ending thing.
it's never ending joy and never ending responsibility. That's for sure.
A
Well,
thousand percent.
along those lines, is there maybe a word of wisdom that you learned or someone even told you before or while you've been a dad that might be an encouragement to dads listening today? Just a nugget that you've really cling to or stood on as in regards to fatherhood.
Um, I would say don't be afraid or nervous of becoming a father. Because growing up, I was the youngest of 3 siblings.
Mm,
So I never grew up changing diapers. I never grew up babysitting. So, like, my kids were really like my first experience with all of that. But you just got to take it head on and you got to face it. Like, you're never ready for something like that. Like, nothing can prepare you for
mm.
becoming a father. You just have to do it. Basically, like getting married. Like, nothing can prepare you to be a husband besides getting married. And you just have to do it. And you have to you just got to face it head on, you know. So that's what I would say for anybody out there.
I think that's great because I think a lot of people, yeah, may hold back or wait, thinking like, all right, I got to get to a certain level or whatever.
Exactly.
And sometimes there's some wisdom in that, and maybe there are some reasons to wait here and there, but yeah, you just got to go. You got to go for it. You
You
gotta.
just gotta you just gotta do it, man. Because nothing can. I mean, growing up, I was always an athlete. I'm still an athlete to this day. So I thought I understood time management until I had
Mm.
kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it gives you a whole different definition of time management and like resting when you get the chance and getting stuff done when you get the chance, but you also have to give them attention and be present with them. So it's just a whole new definition.
That's right. Because yeah, I probably thought it at certain times, like, man, I got to slow down first, or I've got to take some things out of my schedule before I could even open that up for a child. But it really, you got to have the child, and then it'll force you to start
Of course.
eliminating some of the extra stuff and things that
Exactly. And
you
you'll
just
notice how
do it all.
much time you waste on stuff that really you can let go.
That's right.
Being completely honest, before you have kids, some of those things seem so important and seem so relevant, and then they're really not once because it gives you a different perspective on life because it's a little human being depending on you for everything. Besides their mother, if their mother's nursing,
That's right.
you know what I'm saying? You really can't help with that. But you can just kind of give moral support and give massages and all that good stuff.
That's right. Being there. Well, man, so you mentioned marriage and your wife is very you guys are very connected and even in setting this up, the two of you are on the same page and it's cool to see. And I want to go back to even when you guys got married, you've had
Hmm.
this mentality of serving, giving back, putting others ahead of yourself. So why don't you kind of share the story of what you decided to do for your honeymoon and how that
Hmm.
really got your marriage started in a great way.
Yeah. So back when we were in college, we were just dating at the time. But my wife went on a couple mission trips in college, and she was always wanting me to come. But me having a different major and being involved in football, it never worked out where I could join her. So for the honeymoon, we was talking about what we wanted to do, and we threw out a couple different ideas. More so me, you know, places we had never been and whatnot. And she was like, "Why don't we do a mission trip and get people to instead of giving us wedding gifts, get people to donate to the cause, and we bring some family and friends along." And I'm like, "Man, that's a dope idea. Like, I'm all for that." So it was basically all her idea, and um, we didn't expect it to like get as much coverage and become as big as it did, but you know, God works in mysterious ways. He just aligned it for us, and it became a huge thing. And it was something that we did maybe 3 out of the next 4 years,
Hmm.
and it's been great. We started out with the DR, then we went to Haiti, then we went to Puerto Rico. So it's been awesome, and you can really find yourself in giving to others and putting a smile on others' face, man. Because we're so, especially here in America, we're so blessed, and myself especially, I think sometimes we can tend to not be thankful for the small things, whether it's being able to wake up and put your feet on the ground, having a pillow to lay your head on, having shoes to put on your feet, having eggs to cook for breakfast every morning,
Hmm.
having a stove to cook it on. I think we forget some of those little things that we're so blessed and should be so thankful for, but it becomes routine and it becomes second nature that getting out of that comfort zone and going somewhere else where someone doesn't have those luxuries kind of puts things in perspective. So when you do come back to your daily norm, you're that much more grateful and you'll just be surprised how that changes your life for the better. For me personally.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's such an encouragement, and I think a lot of times we're aware of the need to serve our wives and have that mentality of okay, how can we serve our wives? How can we serve our families? Which is great. So I'm not taking away from that. I'm just saying what's interesting to hear from you is this idea of serving with our wives
For
can
sure.
is a wonderful gift. And so what have you experienced just from a marriage standpoint and how that strengthened your own marriage because you've served others together?
Yeah. I think it just shows us a more vulnerable side of each other.
Mm.
I think it brings forth more intimacy, more commitment, and more understanding because it's an experience that you go through together, and it's something that you can bring back up at a later date, like remember when this happened or remember when that happened. Like there's still times at night we'll just be talking and we'll reference
Hmm.
something that happened on one of the mission trips or something we seen, with one of the kids or one of the parents or traveling there. Like I remember one year, I can't remember which one we was going to, but something happened with the shoe transportation, and somebody at the airlines basically like broke all the rules to get all of the shoes that we were taking to the foreign country to hand out.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? So just stuff like that. So it's so many people involved that made this thing go. We get a lot of credit for it, but there's so many people behind the scenes that, make it become what it is. And that's a powerful thing.
man,
And
that's
more so than anything, it teaches you unity. Like,
yeah.
and that's what this world needs where we're at right now. We need to listen to each other. We need to be attentive, and we got to be unified.
Amen. I'm right there with you for sure. Well, so part of that is you and your wife's heart for Charlotte and putting your roots here and raising your family here, but also wanting to serve the community. So
Hmm.
what are, I guess, first off, what is the mentality behind that, and then what has that led you to do and get involved specifically here in Charlotte?
I think it comes from our upbringing. You know, my wife, she was raised by her mother and her grandparents, and they always instilled giving in
Mm,
her heart. And my grandmother, especially, and my parents always instilled that. And when you're blessed, it's a different feeling to bless somebody else. It just brings a different joy, a different energy to do something for somebody else and make their day than to go out and do something for yourself, like buy yourself something nice, and then 30 minutes later you're over that high of that new object. So it's just about making this world a better place, man. And at the end of the day, like, Coty Sensabaugh is not going to be remembered for how many interceptions he had, how many pass deflections he had, how many tackles he had, because at some point there's going to come somebody after me that wears the same number, that plays for the same team, that probably plays the same position. They could be better than me or not better than me, but that's a never ending cycle. People are going to remember you for how you treated them and the impact you made in their life and the legacy and the footprint that you left behind you, whether or not you left something better after you left than before when you found it. So that's just been my life mission, just trying to make a difference in this world and bring positive impact and change.
man, well, we're glad that you're here in Charlotte doing
And
that.
Charlotte
And
is and Charlotte is a beautiful city. Being here the last, I think we came here in 2017. So it's kind of it's I'm not gonna say it's difficult, but it's a little bit harder because, like you said, I've never played for the Panthers. So however many months out the season, out the year, whether it's off-season workouts, training camp, season, playoffs, I'm missing a lot of time here in Charlotte.
mm,
So anytime I get here in the off season and really get to sit here and be grounded, it's always a blessing to go new places, meet new people, and just really continue to build.
which is awesome. And you've already been able to get tapped in with Neighborhood Hope, one of our partners here at Man Up, which is awesome. You and your wife are both getting plugged in, and so we're encouraging the men of Charlotte to get plugged into either Neighborhood Hope or the Harvest Center or a number of other wonderful ministries here in Charlotte. And specifically the issue that we've wanted to bring awareness to and ultimately tackle here in our city is the fatherless issue. And it's such an important issue. It's a problem that needs to be identified, and for the men and leaders of this city to recognize that we can do something about it, that it takes personal action, and it takes a willingness to link arms with other, even buddies, and with your wife, to say, okay, what can we do? What are some practical ways we can take those steps to make a difference? And so I would just love to maybe even hear just your perspective on reaching the fatherless and your heart toward that, and even what you've experienced, whether it's growing up or people that or even the people that you've already started to work with, that could be just an added encouragement to the men here at Man Up.
Man, having a father figure in your life is so important, whether you're a male or a female. I feel as a male, I kind of told you my upbringing earlier, but to take it even further, like as a young male, having a father figure show you the right way to do things, showing you how to treat a wife, showing you how to take care of the household, showing you how to get his hands dirty in the community. Like that motivates young kids. You know what I'm saying? Like we need that as young men growing up in this world to make the world a better place. You know, as a young woman, you need a father to show you how you need to be treated first by showing you how he treats your mother, you know, so you're not out here chasing the wrong guys for the wrong thing because you didn't get love at home as a young lady, you know. So just stuff like that, man. I think sometimes fathers can forget how much of an important role we play. You know, obviously the women are the carriers and the nurturers and all that, but you also need that other aspect that fathers bring in. So
Mm.
man, it's what our world needs, you know, with more fathers in the picture, it makes the world a better place. Just point blank, period.
There's no arguing. There's no question about it. That's the truth. That's the reality. And that's why we're so passionate about it here at Man Up and just wanting to, build ourselves up and encourage one another in our own, families and homes, but then to take that step to say, okay, identifying who are the people that need a father figure. How can I mentor
Right.
others? How can I step in and fill in the gap? And so it's so crucial. And so,
And you'll be
yeah,
surprised how many young males in this world, if they just had a male figure to look up to that's not, I mean, they can be on TV, like they can be an athlete and that's cool, but like somebody in the physical form
oh,
to put their arms around them, to tell them it's okay as a man to say I love you, as a man to say it's okay to cry, as a man to say it's okay to be vulnerable but still handles his masculine duties, like how huge that is for a young man in the society, man. It could move mountains, you know what I'm saying?
it's a game
Like
changer.
it's a game changer, man. It's a game changer because we're taught growing up not to be vulnerable, not to express yourselves. You know, I think that's one of the reasons why the mental state of America with all the mental health issues is the way it is, especially in men, because we've been taught to be tough. And there's there's nothing wrong with being tough, but there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable. Like you can still be tough and be vulnerable. You know, you can still
Yeah.
be tough and say I love you. And I think that's a huge misconception that over the years somewhere got lost in the universe somehow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's just that blend earlier that we were talking about with discipline and love going hand in hand, and I'm with you. Toughness and vulnerability and recognizing or admitting weakness
Right.
can be very valuable, and sometimes as men we're not willing to do that, but it's
Because as a kid, man, I used to run around and do wild stuff with my friends. You know what I'm saying? But I still had that thought in the back of my head, like, okay, by this time you got to go home because your dad's gonna be there waiting on you. And if you're not there by that time, it's gonna be an issue, and you're really not trying to deal with that. And some of my closest friends didn't have that, and that's why they weren't able to achieve some of the things that I achieved because they were just as talented as me, if not better. But that structure and discipline is everything, man.
accountability.
And accountability is everything, man. It means so much. And I told my dad, like, once I became, because when you're a kid, you don't necessarily realize it, but as you get older and you start maturing, even before I had kids, I remember I called him one time and I told him thank you. And then when I seen him in person the next time, I told him thank you because I'm like, that was so huge for me because without that, like, I'm not where I'm at this moment in time. You know what I'm saying? So it's 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 special, man. You need that. You need that for sure.
Definitely. So the more we can be that for our kids and also fill in the gaps as we can, it's huge because like we say, it makes a difference. Well, the last thing to talk about, and maybe the most important thing, and well, of course, it's the most important thing, but it flows through all that we've talked about already, which is your faith in Jesus and how it's shaped your perspective on fatherhood and serving and marriage and all of that. And so would love to just kind of hear just a little bit about your faith. And I guess specifically, I'll ask you, how does your faith impact what it means to man up? Because we've talked about manning up and in different areas, and the conference is all about man up. manning up. and
Right.
so, but ultimately we go back to, hey, it's on the foundation of Jesus, and that's what motivates us, and that's what gives us the heart, the passion, the power to go out and do it. So what would your kind of thoughts, and what can you share with the men today just about your own faith?
Man, okay, so basically, like most young black men in the South, I was raised in the church, going every Sunday with my grandmother. A lot of long services, a lot of singing, a lot of preaching, a lot of dancing. Awesome, that built my foundation. And I went off to college and kind of got away from it a little bit because you're on your own, you have a little freedom. So then, you start achieving things, and you start reaching dreams that you set for yourself, and you feel like something's missing. So you have to get back to your core, because you realize that false affirmation that you're seeking from these outside sources really is an affirmation that is long lasting. It's a snap and then it's gone. So just continuing to seek knowledge and seek wisdom and instill that in my kids, and help my wife with that. I feel like we're very strong partners in that. We hold each other accountable, and just keeping God first. And I would say my faith has taught me that manning up means being a man of righteousness, being a man of dignity.
Hmm.
Um, and those are things that only you can answer. And that's what I think is so awesome about that stuff, because, like, people can look at me all the time and say, Coty Sensabaugh is this awesome person because he does this. He plays in the NFL. He married his college sweetheart. He helps in the community. He does a free youth football camp back at home. All this great stuff. But the righteousness and dignity, only you can look in the mirror and
Hmm.
answer that for yourself. And I think that's more important than anything, because once you reach that level, I feel you walk with a different confidence. And it's not an arrogance, but it's just a different beat to your step, when deep down inside you can look in the mirror and say who you are and know it's the truth. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Oh, character and integrity, and
It's
that.
it's everything, because we live in a society where, we're looking, especially with the social media, we're looking for affirmation from outside sources. And it's really not important in the big scheme of things.
No.
You know what I'm saying? The affirmation you really want is what's in your household. Like, does your wife does your wife say you're that person that you want to be? Does your kids see you as that person that you want to be? You know what I'm saying?
That's right. And we can't do it in our own strength. And it's that pursuit of Jesus. And as we pursue him, and like you say, as we seek that wisdom rooted in truth and rooted in God's word, then we change. Our character changes, and our integrity becomes more just secure, and we are who we say we as we want to come across.
Right.
Our heart is really changed. And so
Absolutely.
that's what it's all about. And so, yeah, when we man up and truly change, allow God to change us from the inside out, that's the key. Because if all we're changing is outside stuff, but our heart isn't changed, that stuff becomes hollow.
It's
And
going it's going to
um,
eat you alive.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
only so long you can maintain and keep that up. It's going to be a heavy weight on your shoulder. That's why you see so many people in so many positions that look like they have the perfect life. They
mm,
look like they have everything going for them, and deep down, there's unhappy as the person staying on the corner that lives in a box. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's where the gratitude and the humility and all that stuff comes in. Like, and that just goes to show you that, like, having things, having possessions, having a nice car, having a job that's on TV that everybody can shout your name, like, that's not what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Like, all that stuff is cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But that's not the end all be all, because when we leave this earth, you can't take none of that with you. You
no.
don't get a trophy. You don't get a trophy for playing in the NFL for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's
it's awesome while you're here, but you can't take none of that with you.
That's right. That's right. Well, we'll end it on that note, and thinking about, okay, what really matters. And so, of course, it's our walk with Jesus, and how is that empowering us and changing us to then take those steps to serve others, to be a part of the community, to be a part of change, to be a part of the solution. And we've got to do it linking arms together, like you mentioned earlier, being unified. And I love the conversation about, serving with our wives and having that mentality. What are we doing as a family to serve others, to be about others? How are we teaching our kids to think about others and not just being takers either? But
Because
to
kids
really
are, I
be
mean,
givers.
you have a child, kids are naturally selfish, I mean, we all are. That's how we come into this world, we
That's
come in
right.
this world naturally selfish. So it's kind of a rewiring and a reteaching, and it's something that you have to do constantly to get better at it. Like anything, if you want to become a better speaker, you have to speak more, you have to write, you have to do these types of things. In order to become a better giver, you have to give more. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to do things that are somewhat uncomfortable. You have to go places you may not would ever want to live or never want to go to, but you have to go to those spaces to become better at it. Kind of got to lean over the edge a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, take those steps of faith for sure. And go take action. I think that's our theme is
Absolutely.
take
And
action.
everybody can help no matter what your position or your platform. Like we all can do something for the betterment of this world and this society, no matter how much money you have or don't have. Even if it's just giving your time, like I think that's the biggest action thing.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, it doesn't have to be either or one's better than the other. It's just giving of
Right.
what you're capable of giving.
Giving of what you're capable of giving, because everybody's schedule and everybody's life is different.
Yep. Different
And I don't
seasons and yeah.
and it's and I think that's one of the saddest things is when we start judging others off of how they give back.
Mm,
As long as your heart's in the right place, that's all anybody can ask for.
that's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? That's all you can ask for, whether it be time, money, uh, resources, whatever it may be. Any way you can help for the betterment of society, I applaud you.
That's right. Goes back to the heart of it all. So, Coty, man, really appreciate you joining me and joining the men of Man Up and appreciate the work you're doing in Charlotte, and glad to have you a part of the community. And we'll look forward to staying connected. But thanks so much for being a part of this Man Up bonus video today. Make sure you check out the rest of the videos, men, on manupcharlotte.org. And we really appreciate all of the support. And if you want to stay connected with us, you can find us on Facebook. Just search Man Up Charlotte, and hopefully we can stay connected there as well. He's Coty Sensabaugh. I'm Bryce Johnson from the Man Up Leadership Team, as well as from the Unpacking It Ministries and the Unpacking It podcast. Check us out in Apple Podcasts or anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Unpacking It. Have a great rest of your day. We appreciate you joining us right here on Man Up Charlotte.